Some stories start with a fight, but this fight didn't start in a field or on some battlefield. It started in the womb. We're diving into the story of Jacob and Esau, and their rivalry is truly one of the most foundational tales of destiny ever told. It's a story that was, in a way, already written long before they ever took their first breath.
I mean, think about that for a second. What if the biggest struggles, the biggest outcomes of your entire life were already set in motion before you even existed? For Jacob and Esau, this wasn't just some deep philosophical question. It was their reality, a prophetic one that was going to shape absolutely everything.
And this is the line that turns their whole world upside down. You have to understand, in that culture, the firstborn son got everything. The rights, the blessing, the legacy. It was the foundation of their entire society. So for this to be said, well, it wasn't just strange, it was a complete shattering of the natural order. So how on earth did we get to such a shocking prediction?
Well, our story really kicks off with incredibly high stakes. There's this divine covenant, right? A huge promise made to Abraham and then passed down to his son Isaac. And it's all in jeopardy. The entire future of a nation is hanging on one simple thing. Isaac needs to have an heir.
But there's a huge problem. For 20 years, 20 long years, Isaac and his wife Rebecca can't have children. Can you even imagine the weight of that? 2 decades of waiting and praying, with the destiny of a people resting on your shoulders?
And look, this wasn't just a personal tragedy for them. It was a massive test of faith. This 20-year wait really forced them to rely completely on divine intervention, because it was painfully clear that their own strength just wasn't going to cut it.
And that brings us to a really crucial point in this whole story. That long, difficult wait, it serves a powerful purpose. It's there to make one thing absolutely crystal clear. This promised lineage wasn't going to be the result of simple human effort. It had to be a gift, a product of divine intervention.
So Isaac prays, and Rebekah finally conceives. But her pregnancy is anything but peaceful. In fact, she feels this violent struggle happening inside her. It's so intense that she actually asks for a divine explanation for what in the world is going on.
And the answer she gets is, well, it's world-altering. She's told this isn't just a tough pregnancy. No. She's carrying 2 nations, 2 distinct peoples who are already at war with each other before they're even born.
And then comes the second part of the prophecy, and this is where it gets truly radical. Not only will one nation be stronger than the other, but the entire social order is about to get flipped on its head. The elder will serve the younger. In their world, that was an absolutely culture-shattering thing to hear. It just didn't happen.
Okay, so to really get what's happening here, we have to talk about this core concept, divine election. It's this idea that God's purpose isn't bound by our human rules or traditions, like the firstborn automatically getting everything. Instead, the choice is based on a sovereign will that, more often than not, completely goes against our expectations. So, with that one prophecy, the stage is set for the entire drama. The rules have been completely reversed. The heir that everyone expects to lead is not the one who's been chosen. And that single fact is going to be the fuel for all the conflict, all the deception, and all the struggle that's about to come. All right, so now we get to the birth itself, and this is where the prophecy really starts to play out in real time. You're going to want to pay close attention here, because just about every single detail of their arrival is packed with symbolic meaning.
First up is Esau, and his appearance is immediately striking. He's described as red and hairy. And believe me, this isn't just some random physical detail. It's basically a preview of his entire personality. He's rugged, he's earthy, he's a man of the field, a hunter who is driven by his immediate appetites. Then, right on his heels, and I mean that literally, is Jacob, born grasping his brother's heel. This very first action is so important that it gives him his name. And while Esau is out hunting in the field, Jacob is described as a plain man, dwelling in tents, which suggests he's more of a quiet, thoughtful, domestic type. And this really lays out the contrast perfectly, doesn't it? You've got Esau on one side, physical, worldly, the hunter. And then you have Jacob, the quiet planner, whose first act in life is to literally grasp and strive for something. Their paths are set in opposition from the very moment they enter the world. Let's really zero in on Jacob's name, Yaakov, because it is so important. It literally means he grasps the heel, sure, but it also carries this more aggressive meaning,
supplanter. Basically, someone who schemes to take another person's place. His entire destiny is baked right into his name, a life that's going to be defined by struggle to claim the blessing he was promised.
Okay, so we've got the prophecy, we've got the symbolic birth, but why does this ancient story still matter so much? What's the bigger takeaway from this incredibly dramatic beginning?
Well, when we lay it all out, the arc of the story becomes really clear. It all starts with human limitation, that 20 years of barrenness. That leads to a divine prophecy that just shatters all expectations. Then, we see that destiny begin to unfold in the symbolic details of the birth itself, which sets the stage for the futures of two entire nations.
Ultimately, this whole birth account, it isn't the end of the story. It's really just the beginning. It sets up the core conflict and the central themes that are going to define Jacob's entire life, a journey that's marked by constant struggle, but also one of profound faith and, eventually, transformation.
Which leaves us with one last, really fascinating question to chew on. Is this a story about an unchangeable destiny, something set in stone before birth? Or is it actually a story about how our character, our flaws, our struggles, and our choices ends up shaping that destiny into a legacy? The story doesn't really give us an easy answer. And, maybe that's the whole point.